Today I'm going to be building a modular Black Falcon castle for my custom medieval city. We're going to make a detailed exterior, interior, and even build up an army of Black Falcon knights to guard the castle. We've got a ton to do in this video, so let's just get started. In the first episode of this series, we built a bakery, a tavern, and a magical workshop. So we can either build the castle next to the bakery on the left, or the magical workshop on the right. I think it'll make sense for the castle to be next to the workshop, because the stone wall on the bottom floor will just blend in nicely with what I have planned for the castle. I'm building the castle on a 16 by 32 plate that I've basically already planned out where the castle will fit. I like to start all of my builds with a base layer like this. It kind of just maps out what I want to do, almost like a blueprint. Now, since my city is modular, I've placed down some tiles and a couple of studs so that the towers can easily be taken off and modified. Each floor of this castle will be able to be removed, similar to the regular modulars from LEGO. Speaking of which, we can now start to add the first floor onto the base plate. The left tower here has a large arrow slit on the outside, and I've also detailed it with some masonry bricks and ingot pieces. These two parts make for a really nice looking castle wall, and that's what I've gone with today. On the inside, I've added a treasure chest and a crate with a little bit more loot inside of it. I'm keeping the first floor pretty simple, but that'll make more sense later. And now that we have all that done, we can just plop it down onto the base plate. Then the tower on the right is pretty much the same, but on the side I've added a couple more details. Here we have a hanging lantern and a poster pinned to the wall. In the future, I plan on having an alleyway here, so I wanted there to be a lantern and some extra room for more stuff later down the road. That's also why I've left a couple of studs on the base plate, so that when we build the next module, it'll be really easy to flesh out the alleyway. As for the interior, I've built a little storage section for some food and drinks. I'm really happy with the shelf design. The crate inside of it just kind of rests there, but I think it makes for a really cool look. Now to finish off the bottom floor, let's take a look at the entrance. I've taken these gates from an old castle set and I've added them to the wall, which again is detailed in the same style as before, but I've used a slightly different technique for these arrow slits. As for the inside, I've left it completely bare so that our Black Falcon soldiers will have a lot of room to move around. The second floor of the castle is going to have a lot more going on the inside, so I wanted the bottom floor to just have a lot of room to fit a ton of figs and even a mounted knight. Okay, so the bottom floor is pretty much finished, but now before we move on to the second floor, let's take a look at the minifigures that will be guarding the castle. First up, we have the Black Falcon King and the Master at Arms of the castle. The King is a pretty standard looking figure, but the Master of Arms has quite a lot going on. He uses some custom printed armor from Cultbricks, and I've also made him a double-bladed axe to match his Viking helmet. I love how this guy looks, and he'll fit right in once the armory is built on the second floor. Next up, we've got a bunch of your regular heavy Black Falcon knights. They all carry swords, shields, and great helms. I've got to load more of these guys, but I think 6 is just about the right amount for a castle of this size. To finish off our melee units, here we have 2 guards that'll stand just outside the castle wall. I've given them some spears, nasal helmets, and then we can just place them down right in front of the gate. Next, we've got our ranged units. First, the crossbowmen. These guys have some black quivers and these beautiful kettle helms. I wish these helmets weren't so expensive because they look so good in this color. And finally, here are the 4 archers that'll be defending the walls. I wanted these guys to look roughly the same, but they do have a few differences to add some more variety to the army. I'd really love to get some more of these new bows, but they are just, again, way too expensive for my taste right now. Anyways, now that our army is ready, let's finish building the castle. So to start off the second floor, let's add in the battlements above the gate. I came up with this design that I am really happy with. It uses a few arch pieces for the falcons to look out from, and I've also embedded a Black Falcon shield into the wall. This is a super simple technique that I've used a ton of times before, but it's just the best way to hide a shield inside of a wall. Then around on the inside, the walkway is covered in some wooden planks, and I've also thrown down a railing in the back. This is again a really simple guardrail design that I've used a ton of times before, but I just love how it looks. Now this section of the build will be covered by a roof later on, but for now we're just going to add it to the wall as is. Next up, let's take a look at the next level of the towers. The left tower here again is following the same style as the first floor, and I've also added in another one of those arrow slits into the wall. On the inside, we've got some more wooden floors, and I've also made this room into the castle's armory. So we've got a rack of bows, spears, and a barrel with a couple of swords. It's pretty packed in this room, but I think it looks really nice in here. And there's just enough room to fit the Master of Arms inside of it. As for the other tower on the right, I followed the same style as before, but I have included this little outcropping on the right side with a beautiful stained glass piece by Ktownbricks. The print on this piece is absolutely gorgeous, and even though it's pretty expensive at $5 a piece, I really think it's worth picking up at least one of them for your own castle. They come in a bunch of other styles for other factions, and I would really recommend it. I've decorated it even more with a simple tiled off slope made in gray and black. I've taken this design straight from the Lion Knight's castle as I think it looks really nice. I've used gray and black here as it will match really nicely with the roof design that I made for the Battlements we previously looked at. And then around the inside, we've got a very small throne room for the Black Falcon King. Above his throne are some custom Black Falcon banners, again by Cultbricks, and there's also a candle with some wax dripping down the side of the wall. And the last little detail in here is a small table with a letter from the Dragon Knights. This is easily my favorite room in the whole castle, and once I get some black and blue tiles, I'll be swapping out the colors on the throne. Okay, so now that the second floor is complete, let's add in the final touches to the castle. First of those is the roof that I've made for the middle section of the castle. I've taken the new D&D minifigure plates and I've staggered them in this pattern. I think it works really well as a roof, and with a simple hinged piece we can add it to the wall. The black and gray matches the Black Falcons really well, and I just love how these pieces look as a roof. People of course have already done this with the standard black minifigure plates, so I think these new ones are just a natural evolution of that technique. My only real complaint with this is that the inside looks a tad messy, but I'll most likely be cleaning this up in the future. Now to cap off these towers on either side, let's take a look at the battlements that I made for them. These are largely inspired by the Lion Knight's castle, and all I've done differently is I've made them a bit taller, and I've also added in some wooden floors to them. The one on the left side is a bit plain, but I have included a barrel of arrows up there. As for the one on the right, it's basically the same, but I have added this custom Black Falcon flag by Bluedragonbricks. I love the black, white, and blue design of it, and it just feels more like the classic 80s Black Falcons for some reason. I'm gonna leave a link to his shop where you can pick this up if you're interested. But now that the castle is fully done, let's fill it up with figs and finally add it to my city. With the archers on top of the towers and the king in his throne room, I absolutely love how this looks. It looks so nice next to the previous module, and it leaves me a ton of room for more expansions in future videos. I think there's even the potential of expanding the castle backwards and completing all 4 sides of the castle. But for the time being, I am super proud of how this turned out, and I hope you all enjoyed it too. I'm sadly now completely out of gray bricks, so don't expect any mocks for at least a couple of weeks. My next module for the city will most likely be a Blue Dragon temple, but who knows, that could change if I come up with something else. With all that being said, if you've got any ideas for what I should add to the city next, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you all think. Also, if you want to see the next episode as soon as it comes out, why not subscribe? I should have it out sometime next month. And finally, as always, thank you so much for watching.